Is up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 45 of That's No Moon Pod. Feeling a little under the weather, as you can tell, but I'm still here. Another pod, another episode of Ahsoka that I'm excited to talk about. Episode 3 of Ahsoka just came out yesterday while I'm recording this. Episode 3, titled Time to Fly. It was a much shorter episode than the previous two, which never settles nicely with me. Um, I always just feel like these big companies, they have so much resources, and Disney Plus seems to be one of the few that continue to just make these episodes of these television shows like they're playing on NBC or ABC, some local channel network, But when they got people paying out of their pockets just to watch these shows, and then yet we get a 30-minute episode when by the end of it you're thinking, wow, okay, well, that's it, right? Like, you couldn't have gone a little bit longer than that? 10 minutes, 12 minutes tops? But to be honest, that's probably going to be my biggest criticism of yesterday's episode. It was just too short, way too short of an episode, and I don't get what the reasoning for that is and why Disney Plus just continues to shorten the length of these Star Wars TV shows, or even Marvel for that matter. It just doesn't make sense. Um, but other than that, I really like the way the episode starts off. You got Sabine training with Hu Yang. Hu Yang's just talking crap. Um, Sabine doesn't seem like she hardly remembers anything from her training with Ahsoka. Um, and once Ahsoka walks in, she's just kind of playing that Obi-Wan role, and Sabine is pretty much the young Luke being picked up, and now all of a sudden is training to be a Jedi. Um, so it really had a lot of A New Hope vibes, definitely. Hu Yang just kind of being the Han Solo, the negative Nancy in the back, while Ahsoka's trying to teach this girl a lesson, and she knows that in order for them to succeed with this mission and find Thrawn and Ezra, Ahsoka knows that Sabine, not only just being a smart soldier within the rebellion and an experienced one at that, um, Ahsoka knows that she's gonna need some backup with what's going on with Thrawn and Balin and Shin and Merrick, which I want to get into all three of them. But Ahsoka knows that Sabine, she's gonna have to she's gonna have to pull her own weight, and that's with a lightsaber. Um, but it was just cool because they're not making Sabine uh, just come out of the gates, doing a bunch of crazy maneuvers and just pooping on all the robots that are trying to kill him, and she's really struggling, and it's almost seeming like she's not going to be able to get the hang of it, but we all know she will. We all know what she's capable of. If you've watched Rebels, you know who Sabine is, and she's got some pedigree to her for sure. Um, no matter what Hu Yang thinks. But yeah, I just really liked how they're taking their time with Sabine. They're not making her seem like she's just picking all this up with ease, showing how difficult it is to become a Jedi and the training mentally, physically, all of it. It's not just, what you can do with the saber. It's so much more than that. Um, and I just really appreciate because, Dave Filoni, he knows his characters and he knows Star Wars. So he's not going to just have Sabine in this show and then have a training montage of Sabine and Ahsoka going at it in the ship, and Sabine ends up getting the upper hand on Ahsoka somehow. That's just not going to happen because it would never happen. Ahsoka, at this point in time, Ahsoka is probably, other than Luke, I mean, who else is beating Ahsoka? Ahsoka has been there, done that, has fought the who's of Jedi and Sith, Darth Maul, Darth Vader, um, and who knows everything else that she's done in between then, right? We all know what we saw her do in Rebels, but there's so much other times in her life that we haven't seen, and all the things that she's probably done throughout her life, um, and just being trained by Prime Anakin Skywalker, being Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, being Darth Vader's Padawan at that. Um, I think just the mystique that Ahsoka has around the galaxy at this point, and Balin knows it too. That's why he says just as much as the last episode when the Morgan, the Night Sister, was asking her if he feels sentimental about having to kill Ahsoka. Um, and he's just saying there's not much of them I left. There's only so many out there, and it'd be a shame to have to take one out. But um, I can't wait to see that fight, dude. Next week, Ahsoka versus Balin. They're gonna be trash talking. We already saw some of those clips from the trailer of them two kind of clashing, and Balin's telling Ahsoka, talking about Anakin, and just trying to get under her skin. So hopefully, I think next week will probably be the biggest episode for sure that we've gotten so far of Ahsoka. But I think it's gonna be the one that's gonna really get people talking, um, because I think the viewership of Ahsoka has been pretty good so far. Um, so I don't think they're worried about ratings or nothing like that. But I do think that next week's episode 4 will probably be the banger that we kind of were hoping for, maybe with this episode. But I guess we should have known. Half an hour episode, there's only so much you can do. But what they did within this 30-minute episode, just the progression of the lore, um, just getting into with the whole, the space whales, and just seeing what that means, and um, Hera talking to Chancellor, Mon Mothma is crazy. It's cool how she's now, just seeing her Chancellor, right? And she's got her whole Senate committee around her, and they're not believing Hera, saying, I know where Thrawn's at. I know where Ezra's at. These fools are still alive. And I need all the resources I can get from y'all to approve this mission to find these guys. Because obviously, find Ezra, kill Thrawn. What else is there to worry about, right? But you can tell there's some snakes in the grass within um, Chancellor Mothma's committee, which always seems like, of course, right? You would think, out of all people, she would be able to sniff out the rats. And that one dude that Hera got into it with is asking him if he was ever in the war, and he says no. And she tells him, "So you just sat back and waited to see who came out on top, huh?" There's nice clapbacks, nice dialogue. Um, really lets you know who Hera is as a character, because she's not just this appointed leader. She's like everyone else in the show, has been there and done that, and she's probably easily uh, the best pilot in the galaxy at this point. Um, and we get to see her son, Jason, Kanan's boy, and he's already saying, "I want to be a Jedi. I want to be a Jedi." So we'll see what happens with that, because again, just knowing Dave Filoni and knowing that they have a lot riding on this show and what's to come in the future, with not only just the future Disney Plus projects, but with the movies. And that's kind of going to be the whole lead up with the show, is to see us eventually go into a movie theater and seeing this Filoni-verse story conclude just on the big screen. But like I said, just the way this episode dived deep with the lore, and if you're a casual Star Wars fan, you're probably really lost, because um I mean, you may have seen Mon Mothma before, but you don't know exactly her being Chancellor. Um, Hera, obviously, and then here comes her son saying that he wants to be a Jedi, and you're like, wait, this girl got a son now too. Um, there's freaking whales flying up in space. Um, Ahsoka's fighting ships outside in zero gravity with their lightsabers. I mean, this episode had a lot of just crazy stuff that really got the sweaties talking. And I think a lot of the hardcore Star Wars fans are really into this show, really digging just kind of them bringing old stuff up. All the stuff that all the Star Wars fans like me have spent so many years reading the lore, and just YouTubing just different YouTube videos of who this is and what these whales mean, and just all the different timelines that the show is hitting. And I think so far they barely even scratched the surface, because we still haven't seen Thrawn yet, besides the trailer, but not even a glimpse of the back of his head or nothing. No phone call, no hologram, nothing. Um, but as soon as the Ahsoka Sabine training kind of wraps up a little bit, and she's trying to tell her, like, everyone has the Force. It's just some people are able to harness it and use it and just have a stronger hold on the Force than others. And that's just kind of what Ahsoka is telling Sabine, that just because you don't feel it, it doesn't mean that it's not there. And it's just those kind of conversations that you get when Star Wars is good. It's things like that that not only just give the characters in the show hope, but it gives, to me at least, it gives the audience, the people that are watching the show, hope as well. Because to me, the Force, and I'll get into what some of the, I want to say controversy, but they brought up Last Jedi, and kind of what the whole conversation that Ahsoka is having with Sabine, talking about how everyone has the Force. going back to Broom Boy, if you remember Broom Boy from The Last Jedi. Um, but to me, the Force has always just been kind of just what Obi-Wan was telling Luke in A New Hope. It's just kind of cool how these two episodes mirror one each other. Obi-Wan says as much, the Force, it surrounds us and it binds us, and it flows through everyone. And just hearing when I say those words and I like hear Alec Guinness, I could hear him in my head. Um, I could hear in my head him telling that to Luke, and it's crazy because even just now, like I get choked up because A New Hope and Obi-Wan and Alec Guinness, that movie was the one that started it all for me. The love for Star Wars. And to me, that's kind of what the Force has always been. Just this energy that everyone has in the world. And you could think whatever the Force is to you, it could mean something else. But to me, um, it always just seems like it's an energy. And everyone has it, and everyone can harness it, and it flows through everyone, and it just binds all of us together. And some people, like Jedi, are able to harness the Force and use it to their ability, and um, but it just doesn't mean that they're the only ones that can use it. Um, some people were saying that's kind of what maybe Han Solo um, may not be a Jedi or a Force user, but him believing in the Jedi slowly and slowly, um, and him being able to do all the crazy things that Han Solo was able to do and get away with. I saw some people saying that it's just the Force, maybe that's him not even being aware that he's doing it, but he's using the Force to be able to, fly the Millennium Falcon or save his friends or just do some kind of smuggling run or whatever. But I saw a lot of people saying how this episode, it kind of brought back that thing in The Last Jedi. And I mean, they're not wrong for saying that, but like I just said, I mean, Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan literally tells that to Luke in A New Hope in 1977. And Qui-Gon kind of was telling the same thing to young Annie on Tatooine, talking about midichlorians and all that. And I don't really have a take on midichlorians. Kind of seems like a forgotten thing in lore, but I know a lot of people, I'm sure, cling on to that, and I never really had a problem with it. I mean, in a way, it would kind of make sense that Anakin, right, would have some high midi-chlorian counts compared to Sabine, right? If you compared them. Um, but I never really put much thought into midi-chlorians. I kind of just always figured that it all depended on the training and just your willingness to learn and commit and give yourself to the Force and don't try to fight it. But it's always an interesting thing when they bring up Last Jedi because that always seems to stir the pot amongst the fans, of course. But it's an obvious reason why to bring it up, just to get people talking in the comments. But to me, I never looked at the Force any different than how Obi-Wan or Ahsoka or all my favorite Jedi looked at it. But it was a cool scene. Definitely a lot of cool scenes like that just build just the world that we're in, and also reminds you of the past as well. And the show kind of starts off kind of slow with all that, you know, if maybe it's not the most high action opening to an episode, but once Ahsoka kind of gives Sabine the lessons, it's kind of nonstop after that. We get a really cool uh, space chase. Really dug it. Kind of again a New Hope vibes with Ahsoka and Hu Yang. They're flying the ship, and then Sabine's got to go and hop on the turrets and try to take out these enemy fighters. You got Merrick. Finally learning what his name is. And I still, people are saying that it's Sam Witwer. And if you don't know who Sam Witwer is the voice of Darth Maul from the Clone Wars and Rebels. He was also the voice and the main character in The Force Unleashed, kind of like Cameron Monaghan in Jedi Survivor. Just the same deal, but he was Starkiller in The Force Unleashed, and he was credited. Sam Witwer was in, I don't know if it's just episode 2 or episode 1, but he was in the credits for something. And this dude Merrick hasn't taken off his mask yet. Could not be a dude, it could be a girl, but imagine, right? I'm not saying it's Starkiller himself under the mask as Merrick, but it would be cool for them to find a way to get Sam Witwer into the live action scene. I know Dave Filoni wants him to be in live action, and I think there's no way that they never had some kind of discussion on a way to get Sam Witwer into a show. I'm not saying it's him, but you never know. But Shin, she's cool, dude. I really like her character, her look, her demeanor. She's not like annoying. She's not she does what Balin tells her to do. Go do this. I like her beef that she has with Morgan, the Night Sister. It's where they're all fighting, and once Morgan tries to take out Ahsoka's ship, and fails, Shin just comes in. She's like, "Good job, you almost had him. We'll take it over from here." But it was just cool because you got to see Sabine and Ahsoka start to work together, and Ahsoka's like, after Hu Yang tells him, like, the way y'all both are acting, we're not gonna make it out of this. So Ahsoka, being the bigger person and the master, she's like, "All right, let's do this. I'll follow your lead, and we'll work as a team because that's what we're here to do, and that's the only way to survive." And slowly Sabine starts taking out the enemy fighters, and after Morgan and her crazy, like, what is it, like the whole thing that sends ships into hyperspace, but just this one's way bigger. The ship's just floating in dead space, and they're trying to get it back up and running. And Ahsoka's saying, "Just keep working on the ship. I'm gonna go out there and distract them." And I'm like, what's about to happen right now? And you just see Ahsoka step outside the ship, zero gravity. She got the spacesuit on, but she whips out the sabers, and then she's just kind of playing possum or distracting Shin and the other fighters, and she's taking them out, dude. It's crazy. It reminded me of when I watched, or when I read it was this, it was canon at the time, um, Tales of the Sith, I believe. It was like Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine book, and it was pretty much right after Revenge of the Sith. So it was still prime Darth Vader. Like, I mean, obviously, him being all weakened and stuff from the robotics and all that, but still, it wasn't A New Hope or Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader. It was like fresh right after Revenge of the Sith Darth Vader. And there's a part in the book where he's having some kind of space battle, and he decides to eject out of his ship while in space, and he like harnesses the force to be able to kind of, I guess, going back to the last Jedi, how Leia, except in the book, Darth Vader, it was like he could just do it like at a whim, to where like he was almost flying himself, but with the force, and he was able to like fly onto the other enemy's different ships and take them out, um, just all while doing it in zero gravity. And that's kind of what this scene reminded me of. And then, of course, right after that, we get the space whales. I know they have a name. I forget what the name of the space whales are. I'm sorry, but if you know, you know. And obviously, we saw them in Mando season 3, where Grogu's looking out the cockpit when they're flying through hyperspace, and he sees the whales, and he's like, "Whoa, what are those things?" Right? And I'm sure that's what a lot of other people were thinking when watching the episode in Mando season 3. Like, what are those whales flying in space? And yep, that's exactly what they are. But to me, it's the meaning of the whales, and Sabine says as much as well. It's like, I haven't seen those space whales since Ezra disappeared. And once they land on the planet, the red forest that they're on, and Balin senses them, he knows they're taking shelter in the forest, and he tells his guys, go find them. He knows Ahsoka will find him, so I'm sure he'll just be sitting back waiting for the duel next week. But I really dug this episode, even though it was way too short. Just way too short. Um, I wanted to see at least a little something, a little teaser for next week, but I guess we'll wait and see. Next week should be a banger. I'm super stoked on it. Um, Again, I apologize if my voice sounded like crap, but it is what it is. I still had to hop on here and talk about this episode with y'all. But next week should be a lot better. Um, I should be a lot better. And next week's episode is gonna be a banger, y'all. I could feel it. It has to. I think it's gonna be the one that's gonna really, pop the lid off this whole show. But I'm really digging it, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think of Ahsoka so far. I think it's crazy how it took this long for us to get a show about a Jedi that has this kind of quality in it. Um, but enough about the past. Let's talk about and look forward to the future and what Dave Filoni has in store for us. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the business. Follow me on all my socials. Links will be in the description. And yeah, thanks again for whoever's listening to this, y'all. I really do appreciate it. And I enjoy hopping on here every week. And next week, episode 46, I'll sound a lot better, I promise. But until then, y'all stay safe. And I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.